Admiral Taik Su stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the holographic display that showed human space. The blue dots represented human colonies and outposts scattered across 50 star systems. The green lines showed patrol routes and shipping lanes. Everything looked peaceful, just like it had for the past 20 years. Taik Su was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been protecting human space for 30 years, first as a ship captain, then as a fleet commander, and now as the head of the Terran defense grid. Most days were quiet. Pirates sometimes caused trouble, and there were occasional accidents with mining ships, but nothing serious had threatened human space in decades. "Admiral," called Hyun-woo from his station. The young tactical officer was staring at his screens, with a worried look. "I'm getting some strange readings from the outer perimeter." Taik-Su walked over to Hyun-woo's station. The tactical officer was one of the best, trained to spot trouble before it became dangerous. If Hyun-woo was worried, then Taik-Su needed to pay attention. "What kind of readings?" Taik-Su asked. "Multiple contacts near Proxima Centauri. Big ones. They just appeared on the sensors like they dropped out of hyperspace." Hyun-woo's fingers moved across his controls, trying to get more information. "Sir, these ships are huge, much bigger than anything we have." Taik-Su felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Human space had clear rules. No one was allowed to enter without permission. All ships had to identify themselves and follow the patrol routes. These mystery ships were breaking those rules. "How many ships?" Taik-Su asked. "At least 50, maybe more. They're not responding to our hail frequencies." Hyun-woo looked up at his admiral. "Sir, what should we do?" Before Taik-Su could answer, another voice came over the communications system. It was Captain Yoon-bi from the patrol vessel Iron Lotus. Her ship was one of 3 assigned to watch the Proxima Centauri area. "Luna Station, this is Iron Lotus. We can see the unknown ships. They look like nothing I've ever seen before. Crystal-like, hulls, very advanced. They're moving toward human space." Taik-Su grabbed the microphone. "Iron Lotus, this is Admiral Taik-Su. Try to make contact with them. Use all standard frequencies. If they don't respond, follow them, but keep your distance." "Copy. That Admiral, Iron Lotus out." Taik-Su turned back to the main display. The unknown ships were shown as red dots, moving steadily toward human colonies. Each dot represented a ship that could probably destroy anything humans had. The Admiral had studied military history. He knew what happened when a more advanced civilization met a less advanced one. It usually ended badly for the weaker side. "Send a message to all patrol ships in that sector," Taik-Su ordered. "Tell them to pull back and observe. No one is to engage unless fired upon." Minutes passed. Taik-Su watched the red dots move deeper into human space. Then Captain Yoon-bi's voice came back over the radio, and she sounded different. Angry. "Luna. Station, Iron Lotus here. The unknown ships just sent us a message. It's in perfect English." "What did they say?" Taik-Su asked. "They told us that humans are primitive life forms. They demanded that we surrender all human colonies to something called the Velthari Collective. When I told them to leave human space, they laughed at me." Taik-Su closed his eyes for a moment. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. "Iron Lotus, pull back immediately. That's an order." "Sir, I can't do that. They just fired on the Bright Star and the New Hope. Both ships are gone. Completely destroyed." The command center went silent. Everyone was listening to Captain Yoon-bi's report. The Bright Star and New Hope were escort frigates, smaller than the Iron Lotus but still powerful ships with good crews. If they were destroyed so easily, then these aliens were very dangerous. "Iron Lotus, get out of there now," Taixu shouted into the microphone. "Negative, sir. These aliens think they can just come into our space and kill our people. I'm going to teach them about human hospitality." Taixu knew what Captain Yunbi was planning. She was going to attack the alien fleet. It was brave, but stupid. Her ship couldn't win against 50 alien vessels. "Yunbi, please. Your ship can't handle them all. Fall back and let us plan a proper response." "Sorry, Admiral, but they came into our house uninvited. That means they get to learn what happens to rude guests." The radio crackled with the sounds of weapons fire. Taixu could hear alarms going off on the Iron Lotus. The ship was fighting, but it was already losing. "All ships, this is Iron Lotus." Captain Yunbi's voice was getting weaker. "The aliens have some kind of energy weapons. Our shields are failing. But I want everyone to know something important." "What is it?" Taixu asked, though he already knew this would be the last time he heard from Yunbi. "These aliens think we're easy prey. They think humans are weak and stupid. They're wrong about that." There was a pause, and more sounds of explosions. "They came here looking for victims, but they found predators instead. Show them what humans do to uninvited guests who hurt our people." The radio went silent. Taixu stared at the display screen. The red dot that had been the Iron Lotus was gone. Captain Yunbi and her crew of 200 were dead. Killed by aliens, who thought humans were not worth talking to. "Sir," Hyunwoo said quietly, "what are your orders?" Taixu looked around the command center. Every officer was watching him, waiting to see what he would do. These aliens had made a big mistake. They had entered human space without permission. They had ignored warnings. They had killed human crews. Worst of all, they thought humans were weak. "Send a message to President Minho. Tell him we have a situation that requires the full attention of the Terran Council. Then contact all fleet commanders and tell them to prepare for immediate deployment." "What should I tell them about the threat level?" Hyunwoo asked. Taixu looked at the red dots moving toward Earth. The aliens had better technology and more ships, but they didn't understand humans. They thought this would be easy conquest. They were about to learn that humans didn't give up, didn't surrender, and never forgot when someone hurt their people. "Tell them that someone just declared war on humanity," Taixu said. "And tell them that we're going to respond the way humans always do when uninvited guests overstay their welcome." The command center erupted into activity. Officers began sending messages and preparing for what everyone knew would be the biggest fight in human history. The aliens thought they were hunting prey, but they had just awakened something much more dangerous. They had awakened humanity's anger. President Minho received the emergency message while he was having breakfast in his office on Earth. The message was short, but terrible. "Alien fleet has entered human space. 3 ships destroyed. Captain Yunbi killed in action. Request immediate council of war." Minho set down his coffee and called his secretary. "Cancel all my meetings today. Call an emergency session of the Terran Council. Get me Admiral Taixu on a secure channel and wake up every military commander we have." Within 2 hours, the underground war room beneath Geneva was filled with the most powerful people in human space. Minho looked around the table at generals, admirals, scientists, and politicians. They were all waiting for him to explain why they had been pulled away from their normal duties. "Ladies and gentlemen," Minho began, "we are now at war." He activated the holographic display that showed the alien fleet moving through human space. The red dots were getting closer to the inner colonies, and there were more of them than before. "This is the Velthari Collective," Minho continued. They entered our space 12 hours ago. They ignored our warnings, demanded our surrender, and killed 300 of our people when we refused. General Dalsu, the head of the Marine Corps, leaned forward. How many ships do they have? Admiral Taixu answered from his position at Luna Station, his image appearing on the wall screen. Our best count is 800 vessels. Their technology appears to be more advanced than ours. Their weapons can destroy our ships with just a few hits. The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Humanity was badly outnumbered and outgunned. What do you recommend, Admiral? Minho asked. We need to buy time. Fall back to the inner systems and make them fight for every planet. Use hit-and-run tactics to slow them down while we figure out their weaknesses. That sounds like a losing strategy, said Senator Haywan. If their technology is better than ours, won't they just hunt down our ships one by one? Before anyone could answer, a new voice spoke up. It was Chief Engineer So Young, a small woman with bright eyes who rarely spoke at these meetings. Actually, we might have an advantage they don't know about, she said. Everyone turned to look at So Young. She was brilliant but secretive, working on projects that even the president didn't fully understand. Explain, Minho said. So Young stood up and activated her own holographic display. Instead of showing the alien fleet, it showed human space with thousands of small blue dots scattered throughout. For the past 15 years, my team has been working on Project Lazarus. We've built automated defense platforms and hidden them in asteroid fields, around gas giants, and in deep space throughout human territory. Admiral Take-Su's image looked surprised. Hidden platforms? Why wasn't the military informed about this? Because the best secrets are the ones that only a few people know, So Young replied. Each platform is powered by an antimatter core and armed with relativistic kinetic weapons. They're invisible to most sensors and can fire tungsten rods at 10% the speed of light. General Dalsu whistled quietly. How many platforms? 12,000, spread across 47 star systems. The aliens are flying into the biggest ambush in human history, and they don't even know it. President Min Ho felt hope for the first time since receiving the emergency message. Can these platforms stop the alien fleet? Not by themselves, So Young admitted. But they can hurt the aliens badly and give our regular forces a chance to fight back. What else do we have? Minho asked, looking around the table. Colonel Jun Ki, a hard-faced man with scars on his hands, spoke up. I have 3 battalions of special forces trained for zero-gravity combat. We call them the Ghost Battalion. They specialize in stealth operations and boarding actions. Boarding actions. Senator Haiwan looked confused. Against alien ships? Ma'am, humans are very good at fighting in close quarters. If we can get our people onto their ships, we can cause a lot of damage. Most aliens probably design their ships for space combat, not for fighting hand-to-hand in corridors. Admiral Take-Su nodded. The Colonel is right. Our Marines train for boarding actions because pirates sometimes use that tactic. But I bet these aliens have never had enemy soldiers actually inside their ships. Dr. Bae Hyun, the head of intelligence, had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. We need to learn more about them, their language, their technology, their weaknesses. I recommend we try to capture some of their smaller ships. How do we do that without getting killed? General Dalsu asked. Very carefully, Junki answered. My Ghost Battalion has been training for this kind of mission. We use stealth ships to get close, then magnetic grapples to attach to their hulls. Once we're attached, we cut through with plasma torches and fight our way to their command center. Minho looked around the table. These people were talking about fighting aliens with better technology, but they didn't sound scared. They sounded angry and determined. "What about the colonies that are in the aliens' path?" Senator Haywan asked. "Shouldn't we evacuate them?" "No," Minho said firmly. "If we start evacuating colonies, it will cause panic. Besides, running away is not what humans do. We stay and fight." Admiral Taksu's image nodded. "Mr. President, I recommend we send a message to all human colonies and ships. Let them know what we're facing, but also let them know that we're not giving up." "What should the message say?" Minho asked. "Tell them the truth," General Dalsu said. "Some aliens came into our space uninvited. They killed our people. Now we're going to teach them why that was a mistake." Minho thought about Captain Yunbi and her crew. They had died defending human space against uninvited guests. Now it was time to make sure their sacrifice meant something. "Send this message to every human in space," Minho ordered. "The Velthari Collective has declared war on humanity. They think we're weak because we're smaller and have less advanced technology. They're about to learn that humans don't win fights because we're stronger or smarter. We win because we never give up, we adapt to anything, and we get very angry when someone hurts our people." The president paused and looked around the room one more time. "Send one more part to that message," he continued. "Tell everyone to lock and load. It's time to teach some aliens about human hospitality." Thexara stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching the primitive human star system grow larger on the view screen. The Velthari commander was tall and thin, with crystalline skin that reflected the lights of his ship's controls. His 3 eyes studied the sensor readings with satisfaction. "Report," he commanded his subordinate, Quendal. "The human homeworld is 3 days away at current speed. Our scouts report minimal resistance. A few patrol ships fled when they saw our fleet. The humans appear to be as cowardly as they are primitive." Thexara nodded. This conquest was proceeding exactly as planned. The Velthari had been fleeing the devourer swarms for months, looking for a new home. When their scouts found this small human empire, it seemed perfect. 50 systems with decent planets, and the inhabitants were clearly too weak to resist. "What about their defensive positions?" Thexara asked. "Almost nothing, Commander. A few orbital platforms around their major worlds, some patrol ships, and what appears to be a small fleet near their asteroid belt. Our weapons should destroy them easily." Thexara was pleased. The humans had proven their weakness when they ran from the first contact. Now his people would have a new home, and the Velthari Collective would survive. Maintain course for the 3rd planet. Once we control their homeworld, the rest of their colonies will surrender without a fight. But as the Velthari fleet entered the asteroid belt around the human sun, something unexpected happened. Commander Hyun-ju was waiting. For them, her defense fleet consisted of only 30 ships hidden behind the larger asteroids. The ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but they had been built for this kind of fighting. Each ship was fast, heavily armed, and crewed by people who knew every rock in the belt. "All ships, this is Hyun-ju," she broadcast on the fleet channel. "Remember what happened to Captain Yunbi and her crew? These aliens think they can just walk into our home and take whatever they want. Let's show them what humans think about uninvited guests." The alien fleet was spread out in a long formation, moving slowly through the asteroid field. They were being careful not to hit the rocks, but they weren't watching for hidden enemies. Hyunju waited until the lead ships were deep in the belt. Then she gave the order that started the real war. "All Lazarus platforms, this is Phoenix Command. You are authorized to engage." Show these aliens why they shouldn't have come here." For a moment, nothing happened. The Velthari fleet continued moving through the asteroids, unaware that they were flying into a trap that had been 15 years in the making. Then, space erupted. The first Lazarus platform fired from inside a hollowed-out asteroid. A tungsten rod, accelerated to 30,000 kilometers per second, struck the lead Velthari ship amidships. The alien vessel's energy shields, designed to stop laser beams and plasma bolts, did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speed. The ship broke apart like it was made of glass. More platforms opened fire. Tungsten rods streaked through space like angry meteors, each one carrying the kinetic energy of a nuclear bomb. The Velthari formation, which had looked so impressive and unstoppable, began to come apart. "Impossible!" Quendal shouted on the Velthari command ship. "Where are these weapons coming from?" Thexara studied his displays frantically. The sensors showed no human ships in firing position, but his fleet was being destroyed by weapons that seemed to come from empty space. "It's the asteroids," he realized. "The humans have hidden weapons in the asteroids." But understanding the trap didn't help him escape it. More platforms revealed themselves, firing their deadly cargo at alien ships that had nowhere to hide. The Velthari had superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy that turned an entire star system into a weapon. That's when Hyunju led her ships into the battle. The human fleet came out from behind the larger asteroids like hunters who had been waiting for their prey. They used the rocks for cover, ducking behind asteroids when the aliens fired back, then emerging to launch their own attacks. "Phoenix Squadron, target their command ships," Hyunju ordered. "Make them hurt." Her ship, the Retribution, fired a spread of nuclear missiles at a Velthari cruiser. The alien vessel's shields absorbed most of the damage, but the explosions blinded their sensors long enough for another Lazarus platform to get a clear shot. Another tungsten rod found its target. Another alien ship died. Thexara was learning a hard lesson about fighting humans. They didn't follow the normal rules of space combat. Most civilized species fought in open space, ship against ship, with honor and discipline. Humans fought like predators, using ambushes and traps and any advantage they could find. "Pull back," he ordered. "Get the fleet out of this asteroid field." But it was too late. The humans had planned for this too. More Lazarus platforms activated behind the alien fleet, cutting off their retreat. The Velthari were trapped in a crossfire, with tungsten rods coming from all directions. "Sir," Quendal reported, "we've lost 37 ships. The humans have weapons everywhere." Thexara watched his proud fleet being torn apart by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. These humans were nothing like the other species the Velthari had conquered. They were clever, ruthless, and they fought like they enjoyed it. "Emergency hyperspace jump," he commanded. "Get us out of here." The surviving Velthari ships vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the wreckage of their advance fleet. Thexara had started the day with 200 ships. He ended it with less than 150. Commander Hyunju watched the aliens flee and smiled grimly. This was just the beginning. The aliens had thought they could conquer human space with a simple show of force. They had learned that humans didn't scare easily. "All ships report in," she ordered. "Phoenix 2 here. We lost 3 ships, but we hurt them bad." Phoenix 7 reporting. "The Lazarus platforms worked perfectly. The aliens never saw them coming." Hyunju opened a channel to Luna Station. "Admiral Takesu, this is Commander Hyunju. The aliens have withdrawn from the asteroid belt. They lost about 50 ships. We lost 7. "Outstanding work, Commander." the Admiral replied. But this was just their first attack. They'll be back, and they'll be ready for our tricks. Let them come, Hyunju said. We've got more surprises waiting for them. She was right. The Battle of the Asteroid Belt was just the first lesson in what it meant to fight humanity. The Velthari had learned that humans didn't fight fair. They didn't give up when outnumbered, and they turned everything around them into a weapon. But they hadn't learned the most important lesson yet. They hadn't learned that, when you hurt humans, they hurt you back 10 times worse. That lesson was coming soon. Intelligence Officer Bae Hyun sat in his dark office deep inside Luna Station, surrounded by screens showing alien communications traffic. For 3 days, he had been listening to the Velthari fleet's radio chatter, trying to understand why these aliens had really come to human space. What he discovered changed everything. "Admiral," Bae Hyun called over the intercom, "I need to see you immediately. What I've learned about these aliens is very important." Minutes later, Admiral Taek-soo entered the intelligence office. The Admiral looked tired after organizing the defense of human space, but he was alert and ready to listen. "What did you find?" Taek-soo asked. Bae Hyun activated a recording of alien voices speaking in their crystalline language. Subtitles appeared on the screen, showing the translation. "This is from their command ship," Bae Hyun explained. "Listen to what they're really saying." The alien voice was panicked. "Commander Thexara, we've lost contact with the outer colonies. The Devourers have consumed the Keltan system. Our home sectors are falling one by one." Another voice replied, "How long do we have before they reach the core worlds?" "Perhaps 6 months, if we're lucky. The swarm moves faster than we anticipated." Taek-soo frowned. "Devourers? Swarm? What are they talking about?" "That's what I wanted to know," Bae Hyun said. He played another recording, this one from a different ship. "The humans are more primitive than we thought, but their resistance is troublesome. If we cannot conquer them quickly, we'll have nowhere to go when the Devourers arrive." "Are you saying these aliens aren't invading us for conquest?" Taek-soo asked. "They're running from something?" "Exactly. From what I can piece together, something called the Devourer Swarms has been destroying Velthari space. These aliens aren't conquerors. They're refugees. They need our planets because theirs are being eaten." Taek-soo sat down heavily in a chair. This changed everything about the war. The aliens weren't evil invaders who wanted to enslave humanity. They were desperate survivors looking for a new home. "But that doesn't excuse what they did to Captain Yunbi and her crew," Taek-soo said firmly. "No, it doesn't," Bae Hyun agreed. "But it gives us leverage. If they're desperate, we can use that against them." Before Taek-soo could respond, his communicator beeped. It was a priority message from Captain Young-mi commanding the stealth destroyer Silent Thunder. "Admiral, this is Young-mi. I'm shadowing the alien fleet as ordered. They've stopped at the edge of the Jupiter system and are regrouping." "But, sir, I'm seeing something interesting." "What kind of interesting?" Taek-soo asked. "Their fleet formation is very rigid. All the smaller ships seem to be controlled by the larger ones. If you look at their communication patterns, everything goes through a few command vessels. Cut off those ships, and I think the rest of their fleet would be helpless." Taek-soo looked at Bae Hyun. The intelligence officer was nodding thoughtfully. "That matches what I've learned from their communications," Bae Hyun said. "Velthari society is extremely hierarchical. Their soldiers can't think for themselves. They need constant orders from above." An idea was forming in Taek-soo's mind. A dangerous idea, but one that might end this war quickly. "Captain Young-mi, Can you get closer to their fleet without being detected? Yes, sir. The Silent Thunder was designed for this kind of mission. What do you need? I need detailed scans of their command ships, weapons, shields, crew size, everything. And I need you to find their weak points. Understood. Young me out. Taik-Su turned to Bei-Hyun. I want you to keep monitoring their communications. Learn everything you can about these devourers they're running from. If we're going to deal with the Velthari, I want to know what else might be coming. What are you planning, Admiral? Bei-Hyun asked. Something risky. The aliens think we're primitive, right? They think our technology is crude, and our tactics are simple. That's what their communications suggest. Good. Then let's use that against them. I'm going to implement Protocol Trojan Horse. Bei-Hyun's eyes widened. Protocol Trojan Horse was one of the military's most secret plans. It involved deliberately appearing weaker than you really were, luring the enemy into a trap where they could be destroyed completely. Sir, that plan is extremely dangerous. If it fails, the aliens will break through to Earth. And if we don't try it, they'll eventually wear us down with their superior numbers and technology, Taik-Su replied. But if it works, we can end this war in one decisive battle. The Admiral activated his communicator and contacted President Minho. Mr. President, I need authorization for Protocol Trojan Horse. There was a long pause. Everyone in the military knew about the protocol, but it had never been used in actual combat. Admiral, that plan requires us to let the enemy get very close to Earth. Are you sure it's our best option? Sir, I've learned something important about these aliens. They're not just invaders, they're refugees running from something called the Devourer Swarms. If we handle this right, we might not just defeat them. We might get them to work for us. Explain. The Velthari are desperate. Their homeworld is being destroyed, and they need a place to live. Right now, they think they can take our planets. By force. But if we show them that fighting us is hopeless, they might be willing to negotiate. And if they're not willing to negotiate, Taik-Su's voice became cold. Then we destroy their entire fleet and make sure the galaxy knows what happens to uninvited guests who kill our people. President Minho was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. You have authorization for Protocol Trojan Horse. But, Admiral, if this goes wrong, humanity could lose everything. Understood, sir. But if it goes right, we'll gain something more valuable than just victory. We'll gain servants who know about threats we haven't faced yet. After ending the call, Taik-Su looked at the tactical display showing alien and human positions. The next few days would determine whether humanity survived as a free species or died trying to stay that way. But there was another possibility. If his plan worked, humanity might not just survive. They might become something new, a species that didn't just defend against threats, but turned those threats into tools for expanding human power. The aliens thought they were hunting prey. They were about to learn that they had stumbled into the territory of a much more dangerous predator, one that didn't just kill its enemies, but made them serve humanity's interests. Send a message to all fleet commanders, Taik-Su ordered. Tell them to prepare for the largest military operation in human history. We're going to teach these aliens why coming to human space uninvited is the last mistake they'll ever make. Thexara felt confident as his fleet approached Mars. The humans had fought well at the asteroid belt, but that had been a defensive battle using hidden weapons. Now his forces were pushing toward the human homeworld, and the primitive species was falling back, just like every other race the Velthari had conquered. Report on human fleet positions, he ordered his tactical officer. Commander, our scouts show scattered human ships retreating toward Earth. They appear to be abandoning the outer planets. Mars has minimal defenses, just a few orbital stations, and some patrol ships. Thexara studied the display with satisfaction. The humans were doing exactly what defeated species always did. They were pulling their forces back to protect their most important worlds, leaving everything else undefended. The humans are learning that resistance is useless, he told his crew. Once we control Mars, Earth will surrender without a fight. But Quendal, his second-in-command, looked worried. Commander, our losses at the asteroid belt were significant. Perhaps we should be more careful. The asteroid belt was a trap that we walked into because we underestimated human cunning, Thexara replied. But they cannot hide weapons in empty space. Mars' orbit is clean. Our sensors would detect any hidden platforms. That was exactly what Admiral Take-Su wanted him to think. The Mars Defense Grid was humanity's most advanced military project, and it was completely invisible. Instead of hiding weapons inside asteroids, human engineers had created something much more sophisticated. They had turned empty space itself into a weapon. Captain Kite commanded the defense from his flagship, the Retribution, hidden behind Mars' largest moon. He watched the alien fleet approach the imaginary line that marked the beginning of the grid. All stations, this is Kite, he broadcast on the secure channel. The aliens are entering the maze. Prepare to activate the grid. On my command. The Mars defense grid didn't look like anything. To alien sensors, the space around Mars appeared empty. But human engineers had spent 5 years placing invisible objects throughout that space. Gravity generators that could create artificial black holes. Stealth mines that could appear anywhere. Holographic projectors that could make empty space look like solid barriers. Most importantly, they had placed quantum entanglement communicators at every strategic point. This meant that every weapon in the grid could coordinate its attack with perfect timing. Thexara's fleet moved confidently toward Mars, following what appeared to be a clear path through empty space. The Velthari commander was pleased that the humans weren't even trying to defend this planet. Then Kite gave the order that turned empty space into hell. Grid activation. All weapons free. Show these aliens what happens when they enter human space uninvited. The first thing the aliens noticed was that space around them was no longer empty. Stealth mines materialized everywhere, their magnetic fields activated to pull alien ships off course. Gravity generators created small black holes that bent space and time, making it impossible for the Velthari to maintain formation. "Impossible!" Quendal shouted. "Where did these weapons come from?" "The humans have turned the entire area into a trap," Thexara realized. "All ships, emergency maneuvers. Get us out of here." But there was nowhere to go. The Mars defense grid had been designed to trap entire fleets, not just individual ships. Every direction the aliens turned, they found more. Weapons waiting for them. Holographic projectors created false barriers that looked like solid walls, forcing alien ships to waste time and fuel trying to find paths that didn't exist. When the Velthari fired their weapons at the barriers, the energy passed harmlessly through empty space, while hidden laser platforms marked their positions for counterattack. "Sir," called out his sensor operator, "I'm detecting human ships approaching from multiple vectors." That's when Colonel Jun Key's Ghost Battalion entered the battle. The Special Forces had been waiting in stealth ships throughout the grid, invisible to alien sensors. Now they emerged like hunters who had been stalking their prey. Each Ghost Battalion ship was small and fast, designed for one purpose, getting close enough to alien vessels to launch boarding parties. All Ghost units, This is Jun Ki, the Colonel. Broadcast. Remember your training. These aliens have never faced humans in close combat. Show them why that's a mistake. The first ghost ship, commanded by Major Sung Ho, approached a damaged Velthari cruiser. The alien vessel was trapped between two artificial gravity wells, unable to maneuver effectively. Magnetic grapples deployed, Sung Ho reported. We're attached to their hull. Plasma torches activated, cutting through outer armor. The Velthari had never experienced a boarding action. Their ships were designed to fight other vessels in space, not to repel invaders inside their corridors. When the Ghost Battalion soldiers cut through the hull and entered the ship, the aliens panicked. "What are these creatures doing?" Thexara demanded, watching his ships being invaded by humans in powered armor. The answer came from his own security chief. "Commander, they're inside our ships. The humans are fighting us in our own corridors." In the narrow passages of Velthari vessels, human advantages became overwhelming. The aliens were taller and stronger, but humans were faster and more adaptable. Ghost Battalion soldiers had trained for years in zero-gravity combat, using magnetic boots to run on walls and ceilings, firing weapons in all directions. Major Sung Ho led his team toward the alien ship's command center, fighting through corridors that weren't designed for this kind of battle. The Velthari defenders fired energy weapons that were too powerful for ship interiors, damaging their own systems. "These aliens don't know how to fight inside their own ships," Sung Ho reported to Colonel Jun Ki. "They're more afraid of damaging their equipment than they are of us. Copy that. Secure their command center and download their computer systems." While the Ghost Battalion captured alien ships from the inside, Captain Ki Tae coordinated the external battle. The Mars defense grid was working perfectly, trapping the alien fleet in a three-dimensional maze where every move led to more weapons and more traps. "Phoenix Squadron, target their command ships," Kai Tae ordered. "The intelligence reports say their smaller vessels can't operate without orders from above." Nuclear missiles and kinetic weapons focused on the largest Velthari vessels. The aliens tried to return fire, but their weapons were designed for fighting in open space, not for the close-quarters battle that the grid forced on them. Thexara watched his fleet being torn apart by an enemy that fought like nothing he had ever encountered. The humans didn't stand and fight honorably. They used tricks and traps and ambushes. They invaded his ships and fought in corridors. They turned empty space into a weapon. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked Quendal. "Over 200, Commander. The humans are inside 40 of our vessels, and more of their boarding parties are launching every minute." Thexara realized that he had made a terrible mistake. He had thought humans were primitive because their technology was simpler. But they weren't primitive. They were clever. They used their limitations as advantages, creating weapons that more advanced species would never think of. "Signal general retreat," he ordered. "Get whatever ships we can out of this trap." "Sir, what about the ships with humans aboard?" Thexara closed his three eyes in pain. "Leave them. We cannot save them." The surviving Velthari ships fled toward the outer system, leaving behind over 300 vessels either destroyed or captured. Thexara had started the day with 800 ships. He was ending it with less than 500. As the aliens retreated, Colonel Jun Ki's voice came over the human communications network. "All Ghost units, report status. Ghost 1 here. We've secured 3 cruisers and captured their command crews." Ghost 7 reporting. 2 destroyers captured. Alien computer systems downloaded. Ghost 12. We've got a command ship. The alien commander is asking to negotiate. Kai Tae smiled grimly as he watched the alien fleet flee. The Battle of Mars had been a complete victory, but more importantly, it had taught the aliens a lesson they would never forget. Humans didn't just defend their territory. They turned that territory into a weapon and used it to hunt anyone stupid enough to enter uninvited. The war between humans and the Velthari had been going on for 6 months, and both sides were learning from each battle. But humans were learning faster. Thexara stood in his rebuilt command center, studying reports from his scouts. The humans had surprised him at the asteroid belt with hidden weapons. They had trapped his fleet at Mars with invisible defenses. Every time he thought he understood how humans fought, they showed him something new. "Commander," reported his new tactical officer, Velken, "our engineers have developed countermeasures for human kinetic weapons. The new shield generators can deflect their tungsten rods." "What about their boarding parties?" Thexara asked. "We've installed additional security systems inside our ships. Automated defenses in the corridors, stronger doors, better armor for our troops." Thexara nodded. The Velthari were adapting to human tactics, but it was taking time. Time they didn't have, with the devourer swarms getting closer to their homeworlds every day. "And their newest weapon?" Velken's expression darkened. "The computer virus is still spreading through our fleet. Dr. Sion Ho's creation is more sophisticated than anything we've seen. It learns our systems and adapts faster than we can create defenses." On Luna Station, Dr. Sion Ho was working on the latest version of his masterpiece. The virus had started as a simple program designed to disrupt alien communications. But like everything humans built, it had evolved into something much more dangerous. "Admiral," Sion Ho reported to Taiksu, "the virus has penetrated 60% of their fleet. It's not just disrupting their systems anymore. It's learning how their technology works and sending the information back to us." "Excellent. What have we learned?" "Their weapons are powered by crystalline matrices that store enormous amounts of energy. But the matrices are unstable if you disrupt them in the right way. I've created a new virus variant that can cause their weapons to overload and explode." Admiral Taiksu smiled. This was exactly why humans were winning the war. Every challenge made them stronger and more creative. But the aliens were also adapting. Thexara had brought his remaining fleet to a position outside the orbit of Jupiter, where he could plan his next attack without interference from human defenses. "Status report on our heavy weapons," he ordered. "The quantum disruptors are ready for deployment," Velken replied. "These weapons can tear apart matter at the atomic level. Human armor and shields will be useless against them." "And the dreadnoughts?" "All 12 dreadnoughts have been equipped with the new weapons. Each ship has enough firepower to destroy an entire human fleet." Thexara felt hope for the first time in months. The humans had been clever, but cleverness couldn't overcome superior firepower. The quantum disruptors would end this war quickly, but Chief Engineer So Young had been preparing for this possibility. Her teams had been working around the clock to develop new defenses based on technology captured from alien ships. "The quantum-shielded platforms are ready for deployment," she reported to Admiral Teksu. "They use modified Velthari crystals to create a barrier that quantum disruptors can't penetrate." "How many platforms do we have?" 500, scattered throughout the inner system. Each one is equipped with the new antimatter missiles." "Antimatter missiles?" "Yes, sir. We learned how to make them from captured alien technology, but we made them better. Instead of using antimatter for propulsion like the aliens do, we use it as the warhead. Each missile carries enough antimatter to vaporize a mountain." While the engineers worked on new weapons, Colonel Jun Ki was training his expanded Ghost Battalion for the next phase of the war. The humans had captured dozens of alien ships, and each one had taught them more about Velthari weaknesses. "Listen up," Junki told his assembled troops. "We've learned that the aliens can't fight effectively in close quarters. Their society is too rigid. They need orders for everything. But we've also learned something else." He activated a holographic display showing the interior of a captured Velthari ship. "The aliens have a weakness we didn't know about. They're terrified of being alone. Their entire culture is based on staying connected to the group. When we cut off their communications, they panic." Major Sung-ho raised his hand. "How do we use that against them?" "Simple. Instead of just capturing their ships, we're going to capture their minds. Dr. Seon-ho has created a new virus that doesn't just attack their computers. It attacks their communication implants. We can make individual aliens think they've been abandoned by their own people." The next battle came when Thexara decided to test his new quantum disruptors against a human outpost in the outer system. He chose a small mining station with minimal defenses, planning to demonstrate the power of his new weapons. But the mining station was defended by Captain Da-un and her ship, the New Horizon. Da-un had volunteered for this mission because she wanted to test humanity's newest weapons against the aliens' best technology. "Alien fleet approaching," reported her tactical officer. 12 large ships, much bigger than anything we've seen before." "Those must be their dreadnoughts," Da-un said. "Signal the hidden platforms. Tell them to wait for my command." The Velthari. Dreadnoughts approached the mining station like predators stalking prey, their quantum disruptors charged up, ready to demonstrate the futility of human resistance. "Fire!" Thexara commanded. The quantum disruptors unleashed beams of energy that could tear apart atoms themselves. The beams struck the mining station's shields and completely destroyed them. But the station itself remained undamaged, protected by So-Young's quantum-shielded armor. "Impossible," Velkin reported. "The quantum disruptors should have destroyed that station completely." "Then fire again," Thexara ordered. But before the aliens could fire a second time, Captain Da-un gave her own order. "All platforms, open fire. Show them what humans do with alien technology." 500 antimatter missiles launched from hidden positions throughout the system. Each missile was guided by artificial intelligence that had learned from every previous battle. The Velthari point defense systems, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against physical projectiles that moved unpredictably. The first missile struck Thexara's flagship. The antimatter warhead detonated with the force of a small star, creating a brief sun that could be seen from other star systems. When the light faded, the massive dreadnought was gone. "Retreat!" Velkin screamed, taking command of the surviving ships. "Emergency hyperspace jump!" But it was too late. The antimatter missiles were faster than the alien ships could escape. One by one, the Velthari dreadnoughts were destroyed by weapons built from their own technology, but improved by human ingenuity. Only 3 of the 12 dreadnoughts escaped. Captain Da-un watched the alien ships flee and opened a channel to Admiral Tek-su. "Admiral, this is Da-un. The new weapons worked perfectly. The aliens had quantum disruptors, but our shields stopped them cold, and our antimatter missiles destroyed 9 of their biggest ships." "Outstanding work, Captain. But this won't be the end of it. They'll adapt to our new weapons just like they adapted to the old ones." "Let them adapt," Da-un replied. "We'll just have to evolve faster than they can." That was the key to human victory. Both sides were learning and adapting, but humans were changing faster. Every defeat taught them something new. Every captured alien ship gave them better technology. Every battle made them stronger. The Velthari were fighting to survive, but humans were fighting to evolve. and evolution was a game that humans had been playing for millions of years. They were very good at it. The message arrived at Velthari's Central Command like a death sentence. Thexara's surviving ships had been destroyed in another human ambush, and the Devourer swarms were only 3 months away from the Velthari homeworlds. High Commander Zexthul convened the Emergency Council with growing desperation. The Velthari collective had been fleeing the Devourers for over a year, and human space had been their last hope for a new home. Now even that was slipping away. "Report on the human situation," Zexthul commanded. "The humans have become significantly more dangerous," reported Intelligence Director Mordan. "They adapt to our technology faster than we can develop new weapons. Worse, they've been capturing our ships and learning our secrets." "How many ships do we have left?" "Less than 300 combat vessels. The humans have destroyed or captured over 800 ships in the past year." Zexthul felt the weight of his species' extinction pressing down on him. The Velthari had been the dominant species in their region of the galaxy for thousands of years. Now they were refugees running from an enemy they couldn't fight and failing to conquer primitives they should have easily defeated. "Send the Omega Fleet," he decided. "All remaining ships, including the Home Guard. If we cannot defeat the humans, now our species will die when the Devourers arrive." But Admiral Taik Su had been preparing for exactly this moment. The humans had spent months learning Velthari technology, culture, and weaknesses. Now they were ready to take the war to the enemy. "Operation Deep Strike is approved," President Minho announced from Earth. "Admiral, you have authorization to use any means necessary to end this threat permanently." Taik Su nodded grimly. Deep Strike was the most ambitious military operation in human history. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack human space, again, humanity would take the fight to the Velthari home worlds. "Commander Dayun, report to the briefing room," Taik Su ordered. Dayun had become humanity's expert on captured alien technology. Her ship, the New Horizon, now carried weapons and systems that were more advanced than anything the Velthari had originally built. "Dayun, I'm giving you command of Task Force Trojan," Taik Su explained. "You'll be taking 50 captured Velthari ships, all crewed by human volunteers, directly to the Velthari home system. Sir, that's deep behind enemy lines. We'll be outnumbered thousands to 1. That's the point. The aliens won't expect their own ships to be hostile. You'll use their identification codes to get past their defenses, then demonstrate what happens when you threaten humanity." Dayun studied the mission plan with growing excitement. It was incredibly dangerous, but it would also send a message that the galaxy would never forget. "What's our objective, Admiral?" "Show them that nowhere is safe from human retaliation. Make them understand that attacking us was the biggest mistake in their species' history." 3 weeks later, Task Force Trojan emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Velthari home system. To alien sensors, they appeared to be a retreating fleet of collective ships returning from the failed invasion of human space. "This is Defense Command calling unidentified fleet," came the Velthari challenge. "Transmit identification codes immediately." Dayun smiled as her communications officer sent the proper codes downloaded from captured alien computers. "Defense. Command, this is Fleet Commander Thexara returning from the human front. Request permission to enter home system for repairs and resupply." There was a pause as the Velthari checked their records. Thexara was dead, killed in the battle that had destroyed his flagship, but the aliens didn't know that yet. "Permission granted, Fleet Commander. Proceed to Station Veltharan for debriefing." Acknowledged, Defense Command. The human fleet, disguised as defeated aliens, moved deeper into the Velthari home system. Da-Un watched the tactical display as they passed orbital defense platforms, patrol ships, and military installations. None of the defenders suspected that 50 alien ships were actually crewed by angry humans seeking revenge. "Target acquired," reported her weapons officer. "The primary military shipyard, just like the intelligence reports described. All ships." "This is Da-Un," she broadcast on the secure human channel. "Remember what these aliens did to Captain Yunbi and her crew? Remember every human who died because they thought they could invade our space. Now show them what human justice looks like." The 50 disguised ships suddenly revealed their true nature. Human-designed weapons emerged from hidden compartments. The alien identification transponders shut off, revealing the ship's real identities. "This is Commander Da-Un of the Terran Defense Force," she broadcast on all Velthari frequencies. "Your species made the mistake of entering human space uninvited. You killed our people and tried to take our homes. Now you'll learn what it means to face human revenge." The shipyard was the pride of the Velthari military, a massive structure that could build dreadnoughts and supply entire fleets. It was also completely undefended, because no enemy had ever penetrated this deep into collective space. Da-Un's flagship, the former Velthari heavy cruiser now renamed Terra's Wrath, fired a single weapon that shouldn't have existed. Dr. Sion Ho had spent months studying captured alien technology, then combined it with human engineering in ways the Velthari would never have imagined. The weapon was a controlled black hole generator, creating a miniature singularity that lasted just long enough to tear the shipyard apart at the atomic level. The massive structure, which had taken decades to build, simply ceased to exist. "Impossible!" came panicked transmissions from Velthari Defense Command. "How did humans get into our home system?" "Simple," Da-Un replied, opening a channel to the entire Velthari collective. "We used your own ships against you. Just like we used your own technology to build the weapon that just destroyed your shipyard. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity." The human fleet didn't try to occupy the Velthari system. They had come to send a message, not to conquer. After destroying several more military installations and demonstrating the power of their new weapons, they prepared to leave. But before departing, Da-Un broadcast one final message to the Velthari collective. "Your species thought you could come to human space and take whatever you wanted. You thought we were primitive and weak. You were wrong about everything. We don't just defend our territory, we hunt down anyone who threatens us. No matter how far you run, no matter where you hide, we will find you." The image on the screen showed the planet cracker weapon charging up again, this time aimed at a Velthari moon. "This is a demonstration of what we could do to your home world if we wanted to. But we're not genocidal. We're practical. You have something we want now." The weapon fired, and the moon disappeared in a brief flash of light that could be seen from every planet in the system. "We want your unconditional surrender. We want your ships, your technology, and your service. You came looking for a new home? You just found one. You'll be living in human space under human rules, serving human interests." The broadcast ended, and Task Force Trojan vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a Velthari collective that finally understood what they had awakened when they decided to threaten humanity. High Commander Zexthul stared at the empty space, where the moon had been. In one day, the humans had demonstrated that nowhere in the galaxy was beyond their reach. They had shown weapons that could destroy planets, and they had made it clear that fighting them was hopeless. "Contact the human fleet," he ordered with resignation. Tell them the Velthari Collective wishes to negotiate terms of surrender. The war was over. But for humanity, it was just the beginning. They had faced their first alien threat and not only survived, but turned their enemies into servants. The galaxy was watching, and the message was clear. No one enters human space uninvited. Not if they want to leave alive. 6 months after the surrender of the Velthari Collective, former High Commander Zex Thul stood in the observation deck of Luna Station, looking out at Earth through reinforced windows. The planet looked peaceful and blue, nothing like the war-torn worlds his people were fleeing from. It was hard to believe that this quiet world was home to the species that had completely defeated the Velthari in less than 2 years. "Zex Thul," came a voice behind him. He turned to see Admiral Taik Su approaching, flanked by 2 human guards. The Admiral looked older than when the war had started, but his eyes were still sharp and watchful. "Admiral," Zex Thul replied, giving the respectful bow that humans had taught all surrendered Velthari to perform. "You asked to see me? President Minho wants to discuss the final terms of your people's integration into the Terran Protectorate. Are you ready to hear what humanity expects from your species?" Zex Thul nodded. The Velthari had learned not to argue with human demands. The alternative was extinction, either at the hands of the approaching devourer swarms or from human weapons that could destroy entire star systems. They walked to the conference room where President Minho was waiting. The human leader looked tired but satisfied. The war with the Velthari had made humanity stronger and more united than ever before. "Zex Thul," Minho began, "your people came to our space as invaders. You killed our citizens and tried to take our worlds. Under normal circumstances, we would be justified in wiping out your entire species. I understand, Mr. President. The Velthari accept full responsibility for our actions. But we're not a genocidal species. We're practical. Your people have knowledge and skills that could be useful to humanity. The question is whether you're willing to earn the right to survive." Minho activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Red areas showed systems consumed by the devourer swarms. Blue areas showed human space, now expanded to include former Velthari colonies. Yellow areas showed neutral, species that were watching the conflict with growing interest. "The devourers will reach this region in approximately 4 months, Minho continued. "When they arrive, they'll face the combined forces of humanity and our new Velthari allies. But make no mistake, your people will be serving under human command." "What exactly does that mean?" Zex Thul asked. Admiral Taik Su answered, "It means that every Velthari ship, every piece of technology, every scientific discovery your people have ever made now belongs to the Terran Protectorate. In exchange, we'll protect your civilians and give your species a chance to continue existing. And if we refuse, then you can face the devourers alone," Minho said simply. "We've seen what those creatures do to species that resist them. Would you prefer that fate for your people?" Zex Thul was quiet for a moment. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. Serve humanity or die. But perhaps service to humans was better. "Then extinction. What would you require from us?" he asked. "Complete integration into human military command structure. Your ships will be crewed by mixed human Velthari teams, with humans in all command positions. Your scientists will work on projects assigned by human researchers. Your colonies will be governed by human administrators. Essentially, we become a client species. You become the first member of the Terran Protectorate," Minho corrected, "with rights and responsibilities that come with that membership." Your people will be protected, fed, and given meaningful work. But you'll also be expected to fight and die for human interests when necessary. Before Zexthul could respond, an alarm sounded throughout Luna Station. Admiral Take-Su grabbed his communicator. "This is Admiral Take-Su. Report." "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal from the outer colonies. Multiple species are requesting emergency meetings with human representatives. They're all asking about joining the Terran Protectorate." Minho and Take-Su exchanged glances. This was exactly what they had hoped would happen. "It seems the galaxy has been watching our conflict with interest," Minho told Zexthul. "Other species have seen what happens to those who threaten humanity, and they've also seen what happens to those who serve us faithfully." "The word is spreading," Take-Su added. "Humanity doesn't just defend itself, it creates a new order where the strong protect the weak as long as the weak serve the strong." 3 days later, Captain Yunbi stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Vengeance. The captain had been rebuilt with cybernetic enhancements after her near-death experience during the first alien attack. Now she commanded the first joint human Velthari fleet, preparing to face the Devourer swarms. "Status report," she ordered her mixed crew. "All ships ready for hyperspace jump," reported her human tactical officer, Lieutenant Jamin. "Velthari vessels report full integration with human command systems," added her alien science officer, Quendal. The former Velthari commander had adapted quickly to serving under human authority. "Good. Open a channel to all ships in the fleet." The II view screen activated, showing representatives from 6 different species. Word of humanity's victory over the Velthari had spread quickly through the galaxy, and other civilizations had come seeking protection from the Devourers. "This is Captain Yunbi addressing all vessels of the First Protectorate Fleet," she announced. "In 1 hour, we'll jump to the Kepler system to face an enemy that has destroyed entire civilizations. But today, they face something new. They face species that have chosen to unite under human leadership rather than fall separately." She paused, looking at the faces of aliens who had once been enemies or strangers, but were now part of humanity's growing empire. "To any species in this galaxy that's thinking about threatening human space, take a good look at this fleet. These ships belong to races that made different choices. The Velthari tried to conquer us and learned to serve us instead. The others came to us seeking protection and found purpose in our cause." The captain's expression became cold and determined. "We've established a new policy for this galaxy. Enter human space uninvited, and you get a one-way journey, either to the afterlife if you're hostile, or to serving humanity's interests if you're smart enough to surrender. Your choice." As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, President Minho was meeting with delegations from 12 different species, all requesting membership in the Terran Protectorate. The war with the Velthari had ended, but humanity's expansion was just beginning. "The galaxy is changing," Minho told Admiral Take-Su as they watched the alien delegations through the conference room window. "A year ago, humanity controlled 50 star systems. Now we're responsible for the safety and governance of over 300 systems." "Are you concerned about expanding too quickly?" Take-Su asked. "No. Every species that joins us makes us stronger. Every former enemy that becomes an ally adds to our knowledge and capabilities. The Devourers think they're facing scattered, weak civilizations. Instead, they're about to encounter a united force under human command." The Admiral nodded. "And after we defeat the Devourers," Minho smiled, looking out at the stars that were rapidly becoming part of human territory. "After we defeat the Devourers, we'll explore deeper into the galaxy. There are probably other threats out there. Other species that think they can push around smaller civilizations. When we find them, we'll give them the same choice we gave the Velthari. Join us or face the consequences? Exactly. The galaxy is big enough for many species, but it's not big enough for anyone who thinks they can threaten human interests. We're not conquerors, we're protectors, but we protect what's ours very aggressively. As humanity's first deep space exploration fleet prepared to depart for the galactic core, Yunbi's broadcast reached every inhabited system in known space. This is the Terran Protectorate announcing new territorial boundaries. Human space now extends to any system under our protection. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but uninvited military forces will be met with immediate and overwhelming response. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear to every species in the galaxy. Humanity had evolved from a single-planet civilization to a galactic power in less than 2 years. They had done it not through conquest, but by proving that serving human interests was better than facing human anger. The age of scattered, weak civilizations being picked off by stronger predators was over. In its place had risen something new, a galactic order where humanity stood at the top, not because they were the strongest, but because they were the most dangerous to cross and the most beneficial to serve. The galaxy had learned a new rule. No one enters human space uninvited unless they want a one-way journey. And increasingly, species were choosing to make that journey not as invaders, but as applicants for membership in humanity's growing empire. The stars belonged to Earth now, and Earth intended to keep them.